Just 4 months after taking control of the capital, Yemen's Houthi rebels are now effectively in charge. So who are the Houthis? What do they want? And what's behind their controversial rise to power? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Sami Zaidan. Yemen is, at the best of times, a deeply unstable nation. Since the 2011 uprising that prompted the departure of longtime leader Ali Abdullah Saleh, the country's new president, Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi, has struggled to assert his authority. And in the last few days, the president's power seemed to slip away completely. Houthi rebels have been in control of the capital Sana'a for some time, but after seizing control of the presidential palace on Tuesday, the rebels have asked the president to appoint a deputy from one of their own. Abdel Malik al-Houthi, the group's most senior leader, denies he's staging a coup, but he says he is issuing a warning to President Hadi, adding all necessary measures are open. Well, the Houthis are fighting for more political rights for Yemen's Zaidi Shia minority. They fought a number of wars with the central government over the last decade. But it's in the last 6 months that they've steadily taken territory right across Yemen. From their northern stronghold of Saida, the Houthis now control parts of Amran Governorate, the majority of Al-Jawf and some 40% of Hajjah. Their territory includes Al-Hudaydah, Yemen's second largest port. Houthi rebels are also trying to gain control of the oil-rich province of Ma'rib. And of course, they've been in control of most of the capital Sana'a since last September. Let's bring in our guests who are joining us on the show. From London, Abu Bakr al-Shamahi. He's a British Yemeni journalist who writes for Al-Arabi Al-Jadid newspaper in English. From Sana'a, we have Hussein al-Bukhaiti, an activist and Houthi supporter. And also in London is Adam Barron, a political analyst who focuses on Yemen and the Middle East. Welcome to all of you. Could start then with Adam. Let's give a little background to this. Who are the Houthis? What is the movement really all about?
The Houthis are a rebel group that emerged from, I guess, a group of, what would you say, marginalized Zaidis from the base of northern Yemen. They gradually moved from rights-based protests to being the target of 6 wars waged by the government of the former president Ali Abdullah Saleh. They backed the uprising against Saleh in 2011, and since then have really managed to benefit and capitalize on a lot of the unrest that Yemen has seen, really allying themselves with a lot of concerns of Yemenis, complaints about widespread corruption, complaints about sort of the perceived incompetence of the central government, things like that. But at the same time, since they've moved to take control of the bulk of the capital since September 21st, their rather abrasive mode of governance has fueled increasing discontent among a lot of Yemenis, and that's really peaked over the weekend, as we've seen.
All right, it has peaked indeed. Let's bring in Hussein into the discussion. Houthis now effectively in charge of much of Yemen. Is that what they want, to take over the country?
First of all, they do want to take over the country, and Houthis, they are Yemenis, and they formed a popular committee from all over the country. So when you say take over the country or they came from Saada, it looks like they are non-Yemenis. They just want to get all the corrupt and to stop the corruption in Yemen and to fight Al-Qaeda, which has declared war on Houthis many years ago. And that's why what they're doing now, and I think they are doing a great job by fighting Al-Qaeda and fighting corruption.
Well, they're doing more than fighting Al-Qaeda now. They've even surrounded the president's home. The allegation is that they're seeking to overthrow the government and take over themselves. What's next for the political, perhaps, moves of the Houthis? They not.
I mean, they don't want to take the government because if they want to do that, they could have done it in 21st of September. And the only thing, there was clashes between them and the presidential protection guard, and that clashes escalated into a war. And now Said Abdul Malik yesterday in his speech, even though, like you said, they are in control of Sana'a, he have 4 demands. If I can read it really quick: the correction of the national body as agreed in the peace agreement, to delete the irregularity in draft, before submitting to the national body. Implementation of a real partnership as agreed in the national dialogue, and to address the security situation in Yemen, especially in Marib. Because one article of the peace and partnership agreement, it says that the government of Yemen and the Yemeni army must protect the people of Bayda from Al-Qaeda and Rada', and the government hasn't done that. So people from their tribesmen, they have asked Sayyid Abdul Malik to help them, and they did so. And as well in Marib, just one more thing, an article in about Marib in the peace agreement, it says that it should be a committee that will be formed. All foreign fighters have to leave Marib, and the government has to protect the oil and the oil pipe and the electricity line. This hasn't happened. There was attack almost every day, every week in Marib. So nothing
we'll
of
talk
that
about,
has been done
we'll
by
talk
the
about
government.
the security situation later, perhaps, especially Al-Qaeda. But let's bring Abu Bakr into the discussion. And you listen to Hussein, of course, he's an activist and a Houthi supporter. But the picture there that they may have marched into the capital, they may have marched into sensitive installations, but they're not trying to take over. They are making demands, though. Is anyone in a position to say no or to negotiate with those demands at this point?
Quite simply, no. The Houthis are the power on the ground. As Hussein said, actually, if they wanted to, they could have taken over Sana'a at least, or could have deposed the president on September the 21st. They could have announced yesterday, Abdul Malik al-Houthi in his speech on television, could have announced there and then that Hadi was finished and he was no longer president.
So why didn't he?
But he chose.
Why do you think he hasn't done that?
I think it's the presentation. I think it's the idea that they need a facade, or at least an element of them not being the sole rulers of Yemen. If you noticed in the speech, there was a lot of talk about cooperation and partnership, and I think the Houthis know they can't control the whole of Yemen. Outside of the Zaydi heartland, outside of Sana'a, Saada, Hajjah, these places, if you travel down to Taiz and the south, these aren't places where there are many Houthi supporters, and so the Houthis know that they can't control these areas militarily. They need to have associates with them in the government, and so I suppose they want to be, from my understanding, the power behind the throne, so to speak, to integrate with the military, to integrate with the governments, and to kind of control things that way, instead of having to take on the issues of bureaucracy, having to pay wages and things like that. Instead, they get to be the power behind the throne and not have to take on the kind of the hard tasks of government.
All right, it was interesting. If I can read a quote here from the statement by Abdul Malik al-Houthi, he was quoted as saying, "We will not hesitate to impose any measures to implement the peace and partnership agreement." If I can come back to Hussein, I guess my question is, who is left now for you to enter into a partnership agreement with? If Hadi, as you've pointed out, you feel let down by the government, Al-Qaeda is a problem, the southern secessionists are probably a problem as well. I mean, who is left for you to broker a deal with?
The deal is the people who signed on it, which are the GBC, the Islahi, the Socialist Party, and many other youth groups. Those are the ones that, including President Hadi, we signed the agreement at the National Dialogue, and we signed the agreement at the partnership.
Are you not also opposed to Islah Party people?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We want to do the deal as we agreed about it. They signed at the National Dialogue, all parties, including Ansarullah, the Houthis, and Islahi, and Abdul Rabbu Mansur Hadi, and as well in the partnership, peace and partnership deal, they agreed about all its articles and they signed it. So those are the deal that everybody agreed upon, and everybody must obey what says on this deal.
All right, let's bring Adam into the discussion. Do you think the Houthis will arrive at a situation where they have very senior positions, perhaps the vice president, key institutions, the military, and have others perhaps to run other functions of the state? Is that sort of a scenario that's likely to emerge here, or is the state largely likely to collapse into turmoil?
I think there's a famous quote by Clausewitz, war is politics by other means. And I mean, it's hard to find two more different groups than, the Prussian army and the Houthis. But I think there is agree. When you look at the Houthis' actions, there is a political aim to all of this, and I do think it'll end with some sort of new political agreement. If you look at the last political agreement, it ended with the appointment of Salah al-Samad, who is a Houthi leader, as an advisor to President Hadi. And I think what the Houthis are aiming for at this point is more inclusion for them in the central government. I think, as Abu Bakr said, I don't think they're aiming to take over. If, as Hussein said, if they wanted to take over, they could have done it months ago. But I think they want to sort of strengthen, if not institutionalize, their position as a key power broker in Sana'a.
All right. Many sections, of course, of
sorry,
Yemen's security
advisor,
forces. All right, go ahead, Hussein.
Yeah, about like that they had advisors after they entered Sana'a in 21st of September. I mean, it says in the national dialogue, it should be a total real partnership between all parties in Yemen. This will be including the advisors of President Hadi, including some of the government institute. So why, when a Houthi is appointed into a position, people think, look, they did that because they want to have this position. They are Yemenis, they are part of the Yemeni community, they are part of the national dialogue, they are part of the peace and partnership agreement. So when one of them get a job or be appointed by President Hadi, this is their right. That's why we went to the national dialogue.
All right, let's take the discussion to Abu Bakr.
Can I just quickly come in there?
Yeah, let's give Abu Bakr a chance and then Adam.
Yeah, what I would say, I mean, Hussein has referred to the peace and partnership agreement a lot, and while that's very well and good for this partnership, this agreement to be implemented and things like that, how can and I ask him at the same time as that being talked about, how can you then kidnap a senior presidential advisor or the president's chief of staff, Abu Mubarak, and have him, basically in an unknown location, imprisoned essentially by a group that's not the government, and so you can't kind of talk on one side about these agreements and then on the other side.
All right, let's give Hussein a chance to answer
like
that. The allegation, I'm sure, is very clear there, that you're behaving with the same strong-arm tactics that you're complaining about Abdel Hadi or the central government doing.
If I may answer.
Very briefly,
we're not doing that because very quickly, when Islah was in power, they want to have all the power. They never said we want to do a partnership agreement, and they control the government, they control the army, they employed over 100,000 soldiers. So Ansarullah, they different. They said we want to do as we agreed at the national dialogue. Even though now they have the power, they can take the whole thing, they can take the presidency if they want, they can take the government.
The Houthis are kidnapping people.
But yeah.
The allegation you haven't answered.
Yeah, I'll tell you about this, about
when
Mubarak.
you kidnap people, that kind of comes across as a strong-arm tactic to some, doesn't it?
Exactly. When they kidnapped bin Mubarak, I did condemn that at that time. But you have to look into the Popular Committee, for example. Why they did that? There was a plan to put the draft through the national body, which the national body was not reformed as was agreed in the peace and partnership agreement, and there was a plan from President Hadi and Mubarak, and you heard the tapes that they found with bin Mubarak when he recorded all his call, including with President Hadi. He was explaining to Hadi how we will put the 6th region to sell it to the Yemeni people. So it's like we will do this act to show the Yemeni people that we did it in professional way on economical standard. And he said, even though we didn't do that, but we have to sell this to the Yemeni people.
All right,
so
let's bring in Adam to the discussion.
When they caught him is wrong, but it comes with something good at the end.
All right, let's bring in Adam into the discussion now. There is an observation here. Not all of the security forces, Adam, participated in the fight against the Houthis as they were pushing through Yemen, Sana'a, and reaching even the presidential palace. Why?
I think there's two elements. One, a lot of the security forces that are allied with President Saleh have been avoiding taking part in a lot of the clashes because they remain very opposed to the Islah Party. They hold a great degree of a grudge from 2011 when Islah effectively sided against Saleh. And then two, there's the element that a lot of elements in the military believe that this isn't their fight, that they kind of just want to see where the chips lie. And
so
I think that's...
Sorry, that kind of begs the question then. To what extent is there some kind of alliance between the former leader, Ali Abdullah Saleh, and his allies, and the Houthi push all the way to the capital?
I would say that the allegations on that end are widespread, but there's no real conclusive proof of it. I think there is the case to be made that the former president and the Houthis' short-term interests lie together, but their divergence of their long-term interests basically dooms any real alliance between them. Once it comes to, I mean, right now, for example, when you look now that the Islah Party is destroyed and that Hadi is weakened, it's hard to imagine the Houthis having a long-term partnership with Saleh, a man who targeted them in 6 wars. But that being said, Yemeni politics is always very complicated. But I still think at the end of the day, the key thing is that this will probably be ending in some form of a new negotiated partnership, hopefully.
All right, let's go to Abu Bakr. Where would this leave if we are going to see a renegotiated new political order in which one assumes the Houthis, perhaps Ali Abdullah Saleh and his backers, are going to have a big say in? Where does that leave the revolution, the political transition roadmap, the move towards democracy, and so on and so forth? Is that all out the window now?
Well, I think, and I think this is, something you'll hear from a lot of the young kind of supporters of the revolution for a while now, before the Houthis entered Sana'a. The revolution, a lot of people have become disillusioned with the revolution, and it's unfortunate. It's probably actually, as Hussein said, the Houthis are Yemenis, and they are a popular movement, and one of the reasons for that popularity is the kind of the dreams of a lot of these, the hundreds of thousands of Yemenis who went onto the streets in 2011. They've been failed by the established political parties, whether they be opposition or government, and the Houthis were able to take advantage of this and present themselves as the third force. Where that now leaves Yemen in the future, it's very difficult to say, and like Adam referred to, the issue with Ali Abdullah Saleh, is he trying to present himself as some sort of savior or his son in the distant or the near future even. Then you've got the issue of Al-Qaeda as well. As much as the Houthis are attacking Al-Qaeda and are fighting them, the situation on the ground presents itself quite well for Al-Qaeda in terms of their recruitment. The sectarian tone and the sectarian rhetoric is on the up in Yemen. People are starting to think, actually, maybe I am Sunni, maybe I am Zaidi, and this is only welcome for Al-Qaeda. It means that they can recruit from a lot of angry, young, disillusioned people.
All right, perhaps it's time to recap some of the past. Much of the optimism that followed the departure of longtime President Ali Abdullah Saleh has disappeared in Yemen, as our guest Abu Bakr was saying there. The government is dealing with the Houthi crisis, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, and of course, let's not forget the southern separatists. Last February, after months of national talks, the presidential panel approved a plan to turn Yemen into a federation of 6 states. But the prospect of greater autonomy didn't satisfy the Houthis, who in September took control of much of the capital, Sana'a. A UN-brokered peace deal was meant to make way for the Houthis' withdrawal once a unity government was formed. The Houthis are now demanding a greater say in drafting a new constitution, a demand they say has not been met by President Hadi. Let's bring Hussein back into the discussion. To what extent do you see a natural alliance, at least in the short term, between the Houthis and those still loyal to the ousted President Ali Abdullah Saleh?
First of all, there is no alliance. Just after the 2011 revolution, Ali Abdullah Saleh stopped his war machine and his propaganda against the Houthi. So Houthi, they always have this idea, always you have to open a new page. So there is no point of wasting their time in fighting Ali Abdullah Saleh. Because as you know, during the 6th war, Ali Abdullah Saleh was, as his strength, Ali Muhsin and Islahi and Al Ahmar tribesmen, they were all together so strong, and they were defeated by Ansarullah. But the thing about now, what happens after when Islah in 2011 kind of took power, and many of the GBC base population, they joined Ansarullah because they saw in Islah as a danger in the Muslim Brotherhood, as a danger for the country. So an Houthi movement is open for everybody. We have Salafis, we have Islahi, the head of the Popular Committee in Ib, he's a Salafi sheikh. So we cannot stop people not to join the movement because they are GBC or or they are socialist, is a young revolutionary movement that open for every Yemeni, as long you are with them in fighting corruption, fighting Al-Qaeda, stopping the US interference in Yemen, then you are welcome to join them.
Okay, but Hussein, I guess every party almost in Yemen claims that it's for good governance, it's against corruption and oppression. At this point, how is the way to move forward to decide who should really deserve the mantle of championing the cause of the people? Is it elections, or do you have some other political strategy for moving forward?
Yeah, the thing, we have tried the Islah and we have tried the GBC, and we have tried as well the Islah and the Socialist Party in the joint meeting party. But now what we need to do is implementation.
In the meantime, Hussein,
not only
you are demanding,
people asking,
the Houthis are demanding
yeah, and then
it
says it will come to an election
by the force of the gun rather than through elections. Correct?
They haven't. I mean, I dare anybody to give me that Houthi have demanded a key position like in the government. They refused to join the government. They say this should be a technocrat
they want a certain number of troops in the
people.
security forces. They want to have the vice presidency's office.
Yeah, that's the thing. I will answer about that. This was agreed in the national dialogue. In the Saada team, it says that they should absorb or take the Houthi fighters within the government and security forces. They should as well take the people who were laid out during the 6 war. There's thousands of people who were laid out because they are Zaidi, or some of them are Hashmi, or because they are loyal to the Houthi movement. So these people must get their job back. So they have the right to do so. Islah have recruited over 200,000 people into all security forces and the Yemeni government.
We've just got a couple of minutes left, so I want to bring Adam into the discussion. What about the international community? I mean, Yemen is a country which is supposed to have the heavy involvement of powers which are opposed to the Houthis and their backers in Iran, countries like Saudi Arabia and the United States. Have they been completely outmaneuvered in Yemen?
I think there's certainly a case to be made that they have indeed been very outmaneuvered in Yemen. But I think at the same time, the international community's heavy involvement in Yemen backfired tremendously on the international community. Essentially, you had the UN, the group of 8 ambassadors going in and saying, yes, we have achieved this success. And the average Yemeni is looking around and seeing continued corruption, continued economic problems. And this is something where I think the Houthis were able to step in and really champion, at least rhetorically, champion the cause and the grievances of the average Yemeni, who is fed up with a lot of the economic issues and is fed up with the widespread corruption and very fed up with the perceived international interference in Yemen. Often we think of it just in the context of drone strikes, but it's also the political interference as well. And I think that's really something that's backfired on the international community to the extent of helping the Houthis tremendously.
Well, I think we've got a quick minute left, so I want to give it to Abu Bakr. Do you see the latest moves by the Houthis as one that will lead to the emergence of more of a unity and consensus government, or one which will reignite more tension between different sections of the Yemeni society?
No, I unfortunately think this, things are going to get worse before they get any better. If the Houthis do move into Marib as the kind of the next battlefield, that's going to be a very tough fight. Within the military, there's so many different officers with so many different allegiances. Within the government, there's so many. I think there needs to be some sort of elections where Yemen can establish and have a proper government that rules with a mandate. But unfortunately, elections with the current situation in Yemen, with the security situation, and with the way that even the tribal system works and corruption, they don't look like they're going to come anytime soon.
It's a very complicated situation, but for now, let's thank our guests very much: Abu Bakr al-Shamahi, Hussein al-Bukhaiti, and Adam Barron. And if you want to make a comment about today's show, just head over to our page on aljazeera.com, or you can visit facebook.com/AJ Inside Story, or you can tweet us at AJ Inside Story. That's it for now. From me, Sami Zaidan, and all the team here, it's goodbye.